The global configuration is the place where we set the major configuration elements of the website. Let's take a look at the global configuration. There are two ways you can get to it. You can either go through this icon located right here on the control panel in the back end of Joomla. This is the screen that you get as soon as you log in. Remember, we logged in using the username of admin and the password of admin. And this icon will take you to the global configuration, or alternatively, you can go to Site Global Configuration. Either one takes you to the same place. And here is the global configuration screen. This is where you set some fairly major settings for the whole website. So we're going to set a few of these things up right now. First of all, starting on the left side of the screen, you'll see the site name. The site name was configured as part of Joomla's installation process, but this is where you can go to change that site name to anything else that you like. The next 4 items, site offline message, custom message, and offline image, all have to do with taking your site offline, which in Joomla means that you're going to hide your entire site behind a username and password. This is great if you happen to be building a Joomla website on a web server and you want to be sure that nobody can see that information until the site is complete. I'm going to walk you through how to use the site offline configuration options in several chapters from now. The default editor setting here has to do with the editor that's used inside of Joomla. And the editor is a box where you can type in information and format that information accordingly with bolds and italics and links and so forth. That editor is located in things like the article manager or the category manager or custom HTML module and many other places in Joomla. By default, this is using TinyMCE, and that can be swapped out for another editor. We will swap it out for JCE in a later video. Default CAPTCHA is something that's new in Joomla 2.5. CAPTCHA is that system that you can use to type in funny characters that are very hard for machines to read, but less difficult for humans to read. And this will help keep robots and spammers from sending you contact forms and for registering for your website. So CAPTCHA is a wonderful setting that will reduce a lot of the work and the funky emails you wind up getting from your contact form from various kinds of spammers, speaking from experience. The default access level has to do with ACL, access control lists. I covered this extensively in Joomla 1.7, ACL, here at lynda.com. By default, that access level is set to public. In other words, all of the content that you're going to create on your Joomla website by default is visible by the public. And that's probably really the way you want to just leave it. Unless you happen to be building an intranet and everything is hidden behind a password, that might be a situation in which you'd want to change that. Down at the bottom of the page, we have some global settings for metadata, including a meta description and meta keywords. And these are the default meta information that will show up on every page of the website unless you choose to override it on an article by article basis or within menu items inside of Joomla 2.5. I'll cover exactly how that works later on, but for now, let's fill in our default information. Inside of your exercise files folder, inside of chapter 2, inside of 02_02, you'll find a text file called meta-info. And you'll see that we have our keywords here on the top of the page. If you just go ahead and select them by clicking and dragging and saying Edit Copy. And then we can go into Joomla here and under Site Meta Keywords, I'm going to right-click on this and say Paste. You can also use Control or Command V to paste in that text. I'm going to go back to my Notepad document here, and for the description, once again, I'm going to highlight the text that's here. And you can say Control or Command C to copy or Edit Copy. And here inside of the meta description, I'm going to right-click and pick Paste. You can also do Control or Command V to paste that information into the meta description. So now this information will show up on every page of the website, unless we override it specifically. The robots item down here on the bottom indicates that robots, such as the Google Spider, who might be visiting your website to index it for search engines, should index all of the pages on your website and follow the links that are located there. There are some other options that are available in terms of index or no index, follow or no follow in various combinations. You can look online for information about how these different settings vary and why you might choose to use them. But in general, for search engine purposes, if you have a public website and you want people to find information about you in the search engines, you should leave this set to index and follow. Okay, scrolling back on up here to the top under our search engine optimization settings or SEO settings. This is where you can turn on information about search engine friendly URLs and some other information here in terms of configuring those URLs in your browser. The last item is including site name and page titles. And this has to do with the front end of our website, which I've opened up in a new tab here. You'll see that up here at the very top of the page, my tab says Home. It doesn't tell me what website I'm on, it just says Home. It's picking up the word Home from the main content here on the website, which is the home page, which has no content, but it does at this point have a menu link. And it's not terribly helpful in terms of bookmarking, and it's certainly not helpful in terms of search engine optimization. So one of the things that you can make this information a bit more helpful to the search engines is to turn on the site name in your page titles. The site name comes from the site name setting over here on the left side of the screen, and you can include that site name before or after the page title on your page. So I'm going to go ahead and set it to before, and then I'm going to hit the Save button up here in the upper right. And when I do that, and I hit the refresh button on the front end of my website, you'll see that my HTML browser page title is now changed to Samoka-Home. This is great for bookmarking. It's also a good way of putting site identification in your HTML title tags, which will help with search engine optimization. I'll talk more about this in some later videos, but this is one of the things that you should definitely enable in your global configuration. The other tabs that are here located inside of the global configuration include the system and the server tabs, which are full of all kinds of geeky settings that you should probably not touch. So just skip over those and leave those for your engineer to deal with. The permissions tab has to do with ACL, again, access control lists for your website. I cover this extensively in Joomla 1.7 access control lists available here at lynda.com. And finally, the text filters tab. This is a new location for this information. It has always been available in your article manager inside of the options where you can set text filtering there. I'm going to cover this particular tab in another video later on. Finally, in the upper right-hand corner here, we have 4 buttons to choose from. The Save button is the same as Apply in Joomla 1.5. In other words, it saves your settings, but keeps this screen open for further editing. The Save and Close button will save your settings, any changes that you've made to these screens, and close out of the global configuration screen, returning you to the control panel. The Cancel button will get rid of any of the changes that you've made since the last time you saved and return you to the control panel. And the Help will give you contextual help for this specific screen here in the global configuration. So I'm going to go ahead and hit Save and Close and get returned to the control panel here. As I said, there's many things that are available in the global configuration. I'll be returning to that several times over the course of this video. But for now, this is enough to get you started. Let's take a look at some of the other great features that are available here inside of Joomla. The Media Manager is where you can upload images, PDFs, Office documents, and so much more. You can link from Joomla articles to these items for your website. You can upload more than one file at a time, unlike earlier versions of Joomla 1.5. That's right, the Flash Uploader is back again. Let's take a look at the Media Manager and see what's new. You can get to the Media Manager by either going to it via the control panel icon here, or you can go to Content, Media Manager. Either way takes you to the same place. And you'll notice here, the first thing you might see in the Media Manager is that the old Stories folder that was available in Joomla 1.5 is no longer here. And all of the old images have been cleaned out of the Media Manager, which is a wonderful thing. So at this particular point in time, there are very few images that are left in the Media Manager by default. If you scroll on down on the screen, down towards the bottom, you'll notice that there are interfaces here for creating folders. And there's an interface for uploading images. So let's start by creating a folder. Maybe you want to have some PDFs on your website and you'd like to make a folder specifically for PDFs. All you need to do is type in the name of that folder here into this box, like PDF, and click the Create Folder button. This will create the folder just like that within the Media Manager. If I then click on the folder called PDF, I now have an interface where I can upload images here directly into that area. To get back to the main level of the website, simply go over here to Media Folders and click on the very topmost folder, and you'll be back where you started. You can also upload images directly here into Joomla, and you can do that by using the interface down here at the bottom of the screen. Click the Browse button, and we're going to go to our desktop, to the Exercise Files folder. I'm going to go to Chapter 2, and I'm going to go to 0203. Inside of here, I have an image I'd like to upload. Go ahead and select it and say Open, and then say Start Upload. This will go ahead and upload your image directly into the Media Manager, into whatever folder you happen to have open at that particular point in time. You can also delete images very easily, and you can delete one image or you can delete several images at a time. To delete one image, all you need to do is click on the red X here inside of each individual image, and that will get rid of it. Or you can check off multiple images like this, and then click the delete button up here in the top. Right now, I'm just going to get rid of the image I just uploaded simply by clicking the delete button right here, and you'll see that that image goes away. Let's take a look at some of the options that are available here for the Media Manager. If you go up here to the upper right to the Options button and click that, you'll see that there are several things you can configure where the Media Manager is concerned. First of all, we have our legal extensions and file types. And what these are by default are generally image file formats, as well as formats for Office and OpenOffice. So things like PPT or DOC are available as Office format, but also where you see ODG and ODP and ODS, those have to do with the OpenOffice format as well. If there are other types of files that you'd like to be able to upload, you can add those extensions to the list, and they'll be allowed to be uploaded through the Media Manager. The maximum size for these files by default is set to 10 megabytes. That's a Joomla size restriction. Remember that PHP may also restrict the size of files that you can upload. This used to be a big problem with earlier versions of PHP. It's not as much of a problem now. But if you increase your maximum size here in the Media Manager for your files, and then you still find that you can't upload files of that size or smaller, you might check your PHP settings to find out if you can still upload large files. You can set a path to your images folder and your files folder as a default if you wish. And then down here towards the bottom, there is the Flash Uploader, which I alluded to earlier. Go ahead and set that to yes and say save and close. You're going to notice here that the interface down at the bottom of the screen changes. This will allow you to select multiple images at a time. So you can upload 10 or 20 images at a time and upload them all at once into the Media Manager. Simply click the Browse Files button. And this will go to your desktop and exercise files, Chapter 2, 203. You can select your images from here or anywhere else on your computer. You can select many of the images and say Open. They'll show up down here in a list at the bottom of the screen. And then you can click the Start Upload button when you have all of your images that are all queued up. When you say Start Upload, it'll upload each image successfully directly into the same folder. So if you have images that are going to different folders, you'll need to upload the images to specific folders sequentially. Once you've uploaded your images, if you scroll back on up the screen and click on the thumbnail, you'll get a larger version of the picture so that you can see it a little bit more clearly, which might be helpful to you. The Media Manager is a great place to store all of our files for the web that have to do with media, like images, PDF files, Office documents, or any other type of file that you're going to link to on the website or display on the website. So keep the Media Manager in mind as you work with different kinds of media on your Joomla website. Let's start working on creating some content in Joomla. To make an article appear on our website, we have to follow 3 steps in a particular order. Step 1, create a category for that content if it doesn't already exist. Step 2, create an article within that category. And finally, step 3, create a link to the article within the menu where you'd like that link to appear. In Joomla 1.5, we had sections, categories, articles, and menus. The scam! In Joomla 2.5, the sections are gone. We can now nest categories as many levels deep as we wish, but each article still has a single category assigned to it in the end. There are no multiple categories for an article, one category only. So our scam has now become the cam. You must create the category first, the article second, and the menu link third. Due to the way the database is constructed, you cannot go out of order. Some users like to create all of the categories for the website first, then all of the articles that live within those categories, and then link everything up to the menu. That's the process we're going to use here in this video. Other people like to complete the process for each item, creating one category, one article, and link it to the menu, and then go back again and create another category if required, create another article, and create another menu item. It doesn't matter which methodology you prefer in that regard, as long as you keep the steps in order. Category, article, menu, the CAM.